So you have your house on the market and you've gotten an offer. But there's a couple of things in that offer you just don't quite like. What should you do? In this video, we're going to talk about sending a counter offer and what you're able to counter. Hi, I'm Stacy Horton with Maximum One Realty, your lifeline to home realtor. So you got an offer and you were going over it with your realtor, and there are a few things that you don't like. Say you have your asking price is $350,000. And the offer that you got was for $332,000. Well, you don't quite like that. You already had in your mind, even though you asked for $350,000, that you could accept something lower, but the lowest that you would accept is $340,000. Well, that offer came in at $332,000, so then you can send a counter offer for $340,000. Or if you want that $350,000, you can do a counter offer for $350,000. But the purchase price is something that you can counter. Now, say that the buyer is asking you to pay or to contribute to their closing costs. In another video, we did talk about what the seller is responsible for at closing. There are some closing costs that is the responsibility of the seller, but the majority of the closing costs is the responsibility of the buyer. But the buyer can ask you to contribute. You can if you're able to. If you cannot, you don't have to. Let's say in this situation that they are asking for you to contribute $5,000 in closing costs. But say you're thinking, okay, maybe they do need help with a little cash. Maybe they want to keep a little cash for once they get in. They may need to do some, updating, or whatever reason. Some people just may not even have all the cash. But what you could do is say, okay, well, I don't want to give $5,000 back and give $2,500. So you can counter that closing cost. The next thing you can counter is the closing date and the possession date. So the closing date is the day that you go to the closing attorney. You sign all of the paperwork. The loan is funded, and everybody walks away happy. And the buyers are now the new owners. The possession date can be the closing date, or it can be a couple of days after, a couple of weeks after, a month, even or a month or two after. There are different reasons why you may need to stay in the home after closing. Say you're having a house built, you're closing September 23rd, but the house is not going to be ready that you're moving to until October 3rd. You may say, okay, well, you need X amount of days till October 3rd before you can vacate the premises. Now, mind you, after September 23rd, the buyer is now the new owner. They can say, no, we don't want you to stay after closing. And there are some reasons, legal reasons why they may want that. They may say that it's fine, especially in the seller's market. A lot of buyers have been saying fine, to give the sellers time to either find another home, or if they have found another home, to close and to move. I do recommend, honestly, that the possession date, or even the time, well, let's just say date, because the time can differ, because the closing attorney may not have, like, say you want to close at 10 o'clock in the morning, but the only thing they have available is 3. So you don't want to say, okay, well, we'll still give you possession that day, but we won't give that possession till 6 p.m. You want to kind of give yourself time to be sure that you are out. So unless you can move before, but I would suggest that possession date, you at least give yourself till the next morning. That way, if there's any issues with the moving company, any issues with the cleaning service that you're having to come in to clean the home after you move, that you're able to do so, and it is just a little bit less stressful. Or if you can, I mean, some people have shown up at the closing attorney in a U-Haul truck. So, it just really, it's going to be situation dependent what your situation is. But that is something that you can counter. Something else you can counter is the closing attorney. So when you get the offer, there's going to be a closing attorney that's already in the offer. A lot of times, like when I'm on the buying side, I'll ask the listing agent, is there a closing attorney that you guys prefer? Because the seller just may be purchasing another home and they already have a closing attorney that they're using for that purchase. So just to make it a more seamless process, they may want you to use the same closing attorney. Or the home may be in probate, where the executioner of the estate is selling the home and the actual owners are now deceased. So that closing attorney may have already started some title paperwork, so they may request, okay, let's close with this closing attorney because some of the paperwork has already been started, and again, just to make it a seamless process. Another thing that you can counter is the holder of the earnest, or let's just say earnest money, because there's several things under earnest money that you can counter. You can counter who is the holder, which it could be the seller's broker, it could be the buyer's broker, it could be the closing attorney. Generally it is the buyer's broker, but that is something that you can counter. You can also counter the amount of the earnest money. Again, you're selling your house for $350,000. The purchase price is going to be $3,400, and say the buyer is saying, okay, I only want to give $1,500 in earnest money. You may say, no, I need you to have a little bit more skin in the game. I want $3,400. Now, mind you, that $3,400 is 1%. That is not what a buyer has to do with earnest money, but a lot of sellers do like to see that 1%. It's almost kind of like, it's not the down payment, but it can go towards the down payment or the closing costs. But that earnest money, the buyer can lose that earnest money under certain situations, and we'll go over that in another video as well. So you kind of want them to have a little bit more skin in the game. You can also counter how that earnest money is being paid, whether it's going to be a check, whether it's going to be an ACH, whether it's going to be a wire. You can also counter when that earnest money has to be turned in. In the contract, in the offer, you'll see that it may say earnest money will be due 3 days after binding. Now, the first binding day will start the day after. So say you were under contract August 23rd. Day 1 would be August 24th. So they would have those 3 days after the 23rd, which will start on the 24th, which takes you to the 27th, that the earnest money is due. And it's due by 11:59 p.m. unless it is stated somewhere else that all the how do I explain it? All of the dates, all of the deadlines, all of the dates end at 11:59 unless it is stipulated somewhere else that, okay, this, or say the offer, it also has an expiration date. It may say this offer expires August 25th at 9 p.m. or 9 a.m. But most of the time, if there's no time there, just assume it's 11:59. So say you're like, okay, I don't want to give you 3 days to get this earnest money in. I want the earnest money in 2 days. Or you may say, okay, I understand that this buyer is out of state. They may need an extra couple of days. So instead of 3, we'll give you 5. But that is something that you can counter. Another thing that you can counter is the amount of due diligence days. Especially in the seller's market, we've seen very low due diligence days, but a standard due diligence days that you see used a lot are 10 days. And that could be, sometimes I've seen where the agent will say 10 business days, because if you just put 10 days, it literally is just 10 days, and that will include the Saturday and Sunday. But if they include, say, business days, it's just Monday through Friday. That Saturday and Sunday is not included. And during that due diligence period, that a lot of times that's when the buyer is getting their inspection done, and they're just getting a few things that are ducks in the row. You can counter that. You may say, well, I don't want to be off the market for 10 days. And then you can decide that you want to terminate. So can we bring it down to 5, or can we bring it down to 7? And whatever you counter, the buyer can say no as well, or they can send a counter to your counter. You know, other things, one of the last things that you can counter are stipulations. Something that would be considered a stipulation would be like a home warranty. The buyer may be asking for a home warranty. And you don't want to give, say they're asking for a 5-year or 2-year home warranty. And you're saying, no, I'll give you a 1-year home warranty. Or you may not want to give them a home warranty at all. Or they may not have even asked for one, but they may have said, you know, we noticed the HVAC unit is getting close to the end of the life. You know, so, you know, we want to come off the purchase price to accommodate that we may have to buy an HVAC system. And you may say, you know what, I still want the $340, but what I'll do is I'll give you a 1-year home warranty, so if something does happen to that HVAC unit, it may be able to be covered under that home warranty. So there are just other little things that you can put in stipulations that you can counter. They may counter something like, you know, we want to have the home clear of all debris and to be professionally cleaned. And you may say, okay, I'll remove all the debris, but I don't want to hire professional cleaners. I'll just clean it myself. You know, some people can clean great, some people can't. So you may say, you know I can clean this house very well. I can get the baseboards, I can get cobwebs, everything out, and I don't want to spend $300 on professional cleaners, so I'll just clean it myself. That is something else that you can counter. So if you have any questions, or if you are thinking about putting your house on the market and you just really need to know certain things before you do that, I have a list of videos that you can watch that are geared just towards sellers, that you can find out a lot of things about selling your home and what the process is, and just all little informative things that you can use. So check out my other videos. Make sure you like and subscribe to my page, and I will be talking to you again soon. This is Stacy Horton with Maximum One, your lifeline to home realtor.